Welcome back. At the end of the previous part, a verdict was going to be delivered. But it wasn't because Emma interrupted. I think it was with a hold it, wasn't it? So, what have you got to say, Emma? Your Honor. Wait. Emma. The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? In a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. Oh, that's nice of him. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day? So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. I mean, the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. Yeah, wait a minute. Because where's the vase come from? And this handprint that was clearly like there was a glove. How and why? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So did you find something? No. Huh? Well, no is a good thing. It's like, if you didn't find anything, why didn't you find anything? Because that doesn't make sense. Sorry. I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. No. Sometimes finding nothing actually means something. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. No, you've done great here. It's just people aren't acknowledging it for some reason. I'm just an attorney. Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. We can't find something wrong with them. Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? Yes. Yes, it does. It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there any problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry, I can't be of more use. It's like, yes, the problem is, why is it there? But still, if you can't find anything wrong with the blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If ever I've needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? Why would I object being there? They're like, why do we need to object? But, alright. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those 4 floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Oh no, it's gonna be the thing I was just thinking like, wait, was the handprint in the video? And it's like, no, it wasn't. Or was it? And it's like, wait a minute. The thing, the mascot thingy was in the way, wasn't it? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, There's got to be something I can use. Question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? Right, so if we look at the actual tape then. So it's like just proving my point here. It's blocking it, look. It's absolutely blocking it. There may be a blood handprint there. We don't know because it's covered up. But there is another handprint on the actual mascot itself. Whether that's connected, I don't know. But I don't think this is the evidence we're meant to present. I think we're meant to actually present it itself. So that's the only thing that makes sense. It's like, why does it, what's with the handprint on it? Is that connected to it all? I don't know. What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. I nearly knocked over a can. I've got a can next to me. The Blue Badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? Gasp! That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. What? Yes, it either has to be before or after. Oh, so that means, just exactly what does that mean? Because that's the thing. It's like when I played the video back. It's like there could have been a handprint there. We don't know because we can't tell from the video. So it could have been before or it could have been after. We just don't know. My money's on before because of... Where is it? Because we have a list of people who've been in there, and it's this centuple? Is that it? It's like 7 sevens. It's got to be that person because there's no one else who went in after according to this list. So it's like you needed a card to get in there. So it's got to be that person at 420. So the handprint is already there. Where the vase fits into this, I don't know. Right, so, okay, so just what does it mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma? On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in. Possibly. It's like, there's still a chance it was put there after. Because it's like, you could have a situation where it's like forensics went in there, moved the badger out of the way, when they were sort of like helping Meekins up and stuff like that, and they put their hand on the locker and slipped a little. That's entirely possible, but I'm probably going to go with the idea that it's going to be before, because you know how this game seems very linear, so it's like you try and think out of the box, it's not thought that far. It just hasn't, like we found out with the tape when I had that piece of evidence that worked. Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time. Somebody bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been 777777. Had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. Yeah, you far-fetched there. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd complaint. Apparently. Claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, That does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us, when did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? Well, we've already covered this. I already went through it, didn't I? I already went through that with you, so you know exactly what I'm thinking. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh! The ID card record! So who is all the sevens? Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see, 4:50. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be... The question is, why didn't Edgeworth notice anything? Because it's only been 20 minutes. So it's like, 4:40. Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carrying his body away and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. That's clearly the one we don't know. There's only one of a card number remaining. 77777777. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real number. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777. But who is 77777? Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this as soon as possible. Find out whose ID number is 77777777. That's 1 7 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least, at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 77777777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Ooh, Gaunt? That was his name, wasn't it? Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
Objection!
But that's ridiculous. Just how... I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. Oh, that's definitely how it operates. Yes. Oh. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay, let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. You're a little executive. Lana?
Objection!
Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number, and it's not 7777777. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. What I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident. Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? You need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor. I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for the trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana. I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant? Just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. But why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. God, I can't believe you've done this. Okay, we get the idea. See, that's what I'm talking about. No. No! Order! Lana's remarks caused such a stir. Alright, we would have to wait until the following day. Okay. What? Quite a stir, I think you'd agree. No. February 24th, 3:12 p.m. Wright & Co. Law Offices. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. So, oh dear. I didn't know. I never knew that the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. What do you mean, what happened to you? It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was Prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. What did you have to do with those killings, Emma? On the night Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. What? Tried to kill you? Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me. That means you... Yes. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. Well, let's talk to her about that, surely. Yeah, the SL9 incident. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of year, too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together when she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage. But before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck, and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. Permanent picture? So after the incident, I don't remember the moment when Doc stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about it when I was attacked. That must be why Lana, why she made up the crime. Made it up? We provided bogus evidence. The prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes. But I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. I could have just testified properly. None of this would have ever happened. So it's true. Even though he may not have known it, Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never seen again. Never seen again. Never the same. She'd been cold, like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did. Especially not to Emma. What did you see in an instant that crime occurred? Greg knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl. Oh dear. I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out, so you don't know what happened at all. When I came to, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma. You've been through so much. Knowing this game and how like you got the twists and turns, I can see it being like the other Marshall is actually the killer. And like Doc was trying to save her from being killed or something like that. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that incident. I tried, but the words just couldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago. Must have been 14, that's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grow up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way Lana would never ever have to forge any. I see. I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. Something puzzling. There's something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at the time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Well, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? And of course, this happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. Why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective offices and the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? But Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the entire force. What? It's news to me. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective? Better have another talk with her. Alright, so let's head off to the detention centre then. That's clearly where we're meant to go. February 24th, detention centre, visitor's room. Lana. Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul. Why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Emma told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago, and how the SO9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details, especially about that unusual change of jobs? I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. Okay, so let's give it a talky talks. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen as well, though I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. The trial really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. Couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. All drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15, there was no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana. What the witness, Mr. Starr, said. About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. Don't think I've ever seen Lana look so phased before. Detective Lana Skye? It's true. I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing. They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gaunt cracked together. Chief Gaunt? He was the deputy chief of the police back then, but he still worked on the crime scenes. Damon Gaunt. He was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could ever be filed. Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes so you can use that experience in court, right? Gaunt's help in the SO9 case was crucial to the resolution. After that, he became chief of police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. Okay? 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command? That means the investigation lead was Damon Gaunt, right? Yes, Deputy Chief Gaunt and I shared the same office and the same investigations. We even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the floor. Floor? Yep, on the force. I was thinking like the office floor sort of thing. Detective Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. He asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. It was when his final murder took place, and he tried to murder Emma. Scooter Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the scene of the crime was me. Now you tell us. Alright, first one at the scene. Damon Gaunt and Neil Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages and Dark must have suddenly panicked. She waited until Gaunt and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gaunt and myself. That's where he found me. You were there the first... What? So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filling some papers with Gaunt and Marshall, questioning Drake. Drake? Wait, Doc. Ooh, oh dear. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, victim, Emma, who had passed out, and the suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck the final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. Picked up Emma, carried her out of the room and just held her. Can't blame her. After all, her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident. That's right. Quite a coincidence, I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was also involved in that incident. Just by chance. That case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to extremes because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. Yes, his actions came quite a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of a case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives without their memories. With their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gant and I shared. The office that Mr. Gant now occupies himself. The Chief's office. Maybe we should have a look at the Chief's office, the site of the final SL9 murder. Right, so that's clearly telling me to go off to there then. So what we're going to do is end this part here, and in the next part, we will head off to the police department. So we shall see them. Ta-ta for now.